Thank you, friends. Shabbat Shalom. Greetings to you all. And a happy Chinese New Year to everyone. The year of the sheep or goat, depending on what you think it looks like, begins on the 19th. And it's actually today, I'm recording this on the 19th. It is a yang sign, and it is certainly the most important animal in the Bible. And there are plenty of sources available to tell you more about it. And I'll leave that up to you to research if you want. I will tell you, though, it is my sign, which pretty well gives you a great idea as to my age. Although I'm sure the music I quote gives you a pretty good idea as to what my age is anyhow. Now, friends, for other reasons, this is a very special anniversary parsha for me. And it will always hold special memories. And I've talked in the past how things hold, certain parshas hold certain memories. And this is one of those, thank you, Baruch. And the consensus is in last week's show was too long. I agree. I actually suspected it, and I will be ever mindful of that. And some of you thought there was a little too much outside patter. Another thing to be mindful of, my friends. Now, special greetings go to my good friend Scotty, who had a special birthday last week. Now, I know all birthdays are special, but some appear more special. That is specialer than others to people, especially decade-marking ones. And this was a special decade-marking birthday. So I hope you had the best birthday of all, only to be outdone by all future ones. I like Scotty on Star Trek, who kept the Enterprise going. My friend Scotty has helped engineer my life. You are a great influence and a magnificent friend, my friend. And I'd like to remind you all that Purim is coming up on March the 3rd, and it's a combination Jewish Halloween and a party of parties. And we'll talk about it as we get closer over the next week. And friends, for Purim, there are 4 mitzvahs to be performed. Perform acts of tzedakah, which are gifts to the less fortunate, and kindness. Honor the appointed time, the 14th of Adar, as the book of Esther tells us. And we are to remember the days of Purim for all generations. Hear the Megillah read, the whole Megillah, and the Megillah, of course, is the scroll of Esther, and enjoy a holiday meal. It is celebratory, so have a great time. And it's one of those holidays where you are expected to become inebriated. If so, do not drive, my friends. Be responsible. And of course, it is a major holiday, but it is not a biblical holiday. It actually celebrates a genocide, one that failed. And there are at least 2 great Purim movies that I can think of that are always worth watching just to get you in the holiday spirit. And thank you, Paul and Eve, and you too, Ethel, for that fantastic picture celebrating the Jewish Heritage Museum in New York. It's a fabulous memorial museum to the Holocaust, a genocide which unfortunately succeeded in too many ways. And the museum's motto is, remember, never forget, there is hope for your future. Friends, there is hope for all our futures, and it is sage advice, never forget. We have reached a watershed moment in the Torah, my friends. We have entered the period of the laws, and this week we have teruma, donation. But not just any donation. It's about sacred donations. Exodus 25:2. You shall take my donation from every man whose heart will move him. Now this is very interesting in that it calls for a donation only from those who wish. But when we read about the census and further tabernacle adornments, there is a fixed fee. Friends, there is a difference between what one wants to give to support the work, the help, the benefits of a spiritual institution, and what one has to give to maintain membership and perhaps rights within a society. And the Hebrew teruma is a noun derived from a verb that means to elevate. And so this is a special donation, an elevating donation. And this verse inaugurates an elaborate catalog of instructions about the design of the tabernacle and its furnishings that will take up the rest of the book of Exodus, with the exception of the episode of the golden calf in chapters 32 to 34. And so it begins, the formal instructions for the tabernacle and its amazing accoutrements. Now, the 2 most famous being the menorah and the ark. Yes, story time is almost over. There are only a few stories left in a book that shifts to law and morals and ethics and ritual. And friends, make no mistake, there was only one menorah. What you light at Hanukkah is a Hanukkah, not a menorah, the great 7-cupped candelabra which illuminated the tabernacle. And of course, the ark is probably the most talked about missing relic in history. And I happen to have a reasonable facsimile of what it looked like here. The box with the 2 cherubim. And inside, the broken stone tablets of the law, which, because we now have crazy glue or Gorilla Glue, I was able to repair. And some manna, which I'm sure was like this absolutely delicious gluten-free animal cracker, or maybe more like the Chips Ahoy, which was here, but seems to have disappeared. Perhaps one of the cherubim needed a snack. And the ark also probably contained, as we talked about last week, the covenant code. And they shall make me a tabernacle, that I may abide in their midst, as all that I show you the form of the tabernacle and the form of all its furnishings, thus shall you make. It's a very innocent little sentence, and that little sentence has beguiled man for over 3,000 years. Too often, my friends, we forget that we can't just read the instruction booklet and make it. We're told Moses had to be shown what to do. Exodus 27:8, as he showed you on the mountain, thus they shall do. Friends, it was so complicated it took demonstration. And I thought IKEA was hard to put together. There is more written on the tabernacle than anything else in the Torah. What was it, my friends? What was this tabernacle? Now, the tabernacle in Hebrew, it is Mishkan, residence or dwelling place. And it was the portable dwelling place for the divine presence of God from the time of the Exodus through the conquering of the land of Canaan. It was built to the specifications revealed by God to Moses, and it accompanied the Israelites on their wanderings in the wilderness and their conquest of the Promised Land. Now, it was ultimately superseded by the first temple in Jerusalem, which was built by Solomon as the dwelling place for God. But there is no mention of the tabernacle in the Tanakh after the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple by the Babylonians in 587 before the Common Era. Now, the fullest description of the tabernacle describes an inner shrine called the Holy of Holies, housing the Ark of the Covenant, and an outer chamber, the Holy Place, with a golden lampstand, the menorah, the table for showbread, and the great altar. And this description is generally thought by many modern scholars to be of a far later date than Moses, and that the description reflects the structure of the Temple of Solomon. Traditional scholars, though, contend that it describes an actual tabernacle used in the time of Moses and thereafter, and earlier sources, however, describe the tabernacle as a simple tent sanctuary, which is what it would have been designed for. And for those who want to see it, it has been recreated about 20 miles outside of Eilat, and it is pretty interesting to see. And it's amazing to see the lengths that people have gone through to recreate this structure. Now, the Hebrew Mishkan literally means abode, that I shall abide in their midst. It is, of course, a portable sanctuary, designed to be carried from encampment to encampment in the wilderness. And provisions are made for carrying it and the ark, beginning in verse 12. We're told it is made from leather, but in Hebrew, it says skins that are teheshim. Now, friends, no one knows what this biblical Hebrew word actually means. It's been understood to be dolphin skins, badger skins, goat skins, and skins of a particular color, most notably red, as in the red tent. It is similar to an Arabic word meaning dolphin, but since this word does not occur in the list of sea or land animals that are either forbidden or permitted for food in Leviticus 11, it may not refer to a particular species of animal at all. It may just mean skins that have been tanned, which is why we simply say leather. So how do you recreate what you don't know what was? Well, once again, friends, I will remind you, do not get lost in the minutiae. Did they actually build these things? Or are they descriptions from another time, another place? It doesn't matter. There are a myriad of sources that can tell you all about each of these components, especially the menorah and the ark. There's more written on those two than anything. In fact, see Raiders of the Lost Ark again for a way more entertaining and informative description than I can ever give you. We actually know very little from this period. But what we do know is that biblical scholarship for over the last 100 years or so has been that the tabernacle is a fiction. I do not think so. I do think that there was a portable structure to house the signposts of God. And if you think that instructions just for the tabernacle are complex, wait until you read the ones for the curtains. There were several sets of curtains, some also with cherubim woven in them, and individual instructions for the table, the basins for sacrifice, the Holy of Holies. Friends, the instructions go on and on. And the numerology and the spiritual significance and meaning in this parsha for all of these items is incredible. And there's an Assyrian-Babylonian system of the study of numbers called gematria. And there are books and books written on these numbers and their relationships. And we could talk about all the details given, the dimensions. We can talk about the ark with the two cherubim, with the atonement dais from which God holds court. We can talk of the two branches of the menorah and the cups coming out of each, the altar for sacrifices with the four horns in the corners, and the common Semitic association of horn, Hebrew keren, Latin cornu, as in cornucopia, horn of plenty, in English horn, with strength. And that may have led to this particular practice of cultic ornamentation. The horns somehow focusing the strength, flowing down from the deity to the cultic site. Blood from the sacrifices was sprinkled on the horns of the altar. And so perhaps the horns might have been regarded as the most sacred place on the altar. We have the mysterious tent of meeting, which some say was simply the tabernacle, and the mysterious command regarding the ner tamid, the eternal light. Now, friends, in Hebrew, tamid means perpetually or regularly repeated. So despite the attachment of later Jewish tradition to an eternal light, which you'll see in every synagogue, the clear indication, as confirmed by other parts of the Tanakh, is that the lamp burned from evening until daybreak and was lit again every evening. Now, we can talk about any of these, and we can talk about the gold that was needed to make all of these, but we're not going to talk about any of them. Now, as Humphrey Bogart said at the end of The Maltese Falcon, in its final line, as homage to Shakespeare, it's the stuff dreams are made of. And all of these, friends, are the stuff dreams are made of. But I want you to think about the Mishkan, and I want to talk about the Mishkan, the residence or dwelling place of the Spirit of God. Where is your Mishkan? Where is the dwelling place of the Spirit of God for you? Now, we've been told that the earth cannot hold God. So what's this all about? The tabernacle, the Mishkan, was designed to be a movable dwelling for the divine Spirit. Friends, are we not constantly on the move with our growth, our spirituality, our connection to God, our tight connection? And as we journey through our wilderness, overcoming our fear, our lack, our problems can seem insurmountable. And so the portable tabernacle is our place of refuge. Now, as I read this, I thought of that connection to God which we carry in our hearts. And I think back to that great 1985 Bob Dylan transition album, Empire Burlesque, and two songs jump out for me. Tight connection to my heart. Later he'll be shot for resisting arrest. I can still hear his voice crying in the wilderness. What looks large from a distance, close up ain't never that big. And Emotionally Yours. I could be unraveling wherever I'm traveling, even to foreign shores, but I will always be emotionally yours. Our connection, my friends, our Mishkan is in our hearts. We are fixated on the temple and its wall, but the Torah does not call you to a fixed place. It calls for movement, because you continue to move through your personal wilderness of fear and lack. God has never thought to reside in a permanent structure. He has understood to tent among humans, even after the temple is built. God is forevermore associated with the tabernacle, not the temple. And this parsha, tedious reading though it may be for most, conveys the significance of the tabernacle as the channel to God. Exodus notes explicitly that the function of the tabernacle is, I shall meet there with the children of Israel. See Exodus 29:43 or 25:22, and note that Exodus culminates in the tabernacle's consecration in Exodus 40. It is a great time for this strange section, my friends. Moses has disappeared into the cloud on the mountaintop to commune with God. That moment in the story is marked by the people's fearful distance from the fiery divine presence up above, and the daring closeness of one man, Moses, to the deity. Against this background, the architectural plan for the tabernacle and its decor offers a reassuring antithesis, and the divinely endorsed donations and cultic procedures set up an incredible contrast with the transgressive donations that enable the forbidden cult of the golden calf. The tabernacle will be one. Now, in the simplest sense, this means that once they sew all the curtains together and connect all the loops and clasps, the tabernacle will be one whole piece. But the wording, the tabernacle will be one, also fits with the centrality of the tabernacle to Israel's monotheism. One God, one tabernacle, one altar, one place of worship. And friends, the temple was not just the successor to the tabernacle. The tabernacle, revered as the ancient channel to God, because it was the channel to communicate, was actually located inside the temple. So all the laws in the Torah that command that something be done at the tabernacle applied as long as the first temple stood in Jerusalem. So by the time of the temple's destruction, the tabernacle and its contents, the ark, the tablets, all of these things have disappeared from the Bible. Rabbinic tradition is that the presence of God, the Shekinah, which by the way has the same root as the word for tabernacle, Mishkan, was in the first temple, but not in the second. So this contributes to the impression of growing distance from the original feeling of a direct connection with God in the earlier parts of the Hebrew Bible. And you shall make the tabernacle. Is it any wonder no one has ever figured out how the tabernacle is put together? The components are given, but the text doesn't say how they're put together. Now, I've read incredible papers with theories about its construction, and please feel free to go to my webpage to the Urim and Thummim section where we've recreated the curtain covering that's described here. But how we put it together is something for ourselves. And it's about us, my friends. How we carry our ark and approach our Holy of Holies is what's actually detailed for us. Exodus 26:33. Bring the ark of the testimony here, inside the pavilion. And inside the pavilion, of course, is inside the tabernacle. You see, the ark is surrounded by a series of layers. First the pavilion, the paroquet. Then the tabernacle, the linen tent. Then the other tent, the goat's hair tent. Then the covering, the tent of ram skins, which are dyed red. Then the covering of the leather skins. Then a courtyard surrounding, which is enclosed by linen hangings. Now the Israelites are thus given to understand there's a sequence of holiness ever increasing as one comes closer and closer to the sacred object in the center. Now, friends, anyone who pursues holiness must be aware that he or she must pass through a progression of levels with increasing awe and increasing danger as one comes closer to the sacred. And you will notice it when you go to your own synagogues and you go up towards the bema and the ark, and it's open and the Torahs are there. We all have our tabernacles, our mishkans, our dwelling places of God. Where is yours? You carry it in your hearts. The dwelling place of God, the Holy of Holies, is in your heart. Now, I read an interesting article on the 10 most likely things you will regret when you are old. And all were also things that you tend to carry in your heart. Not risking having your heart broken, not leaving a job that brings you no joy, holding a grudge, among other things. But they also were connected by another common element, and that element was fear. And the holiday of holidays in the Torah is about overcoming fear. Fear paralyzes us and brings regret and sorrow. As the great Paul McCartney sung in the unsurpassed promo video version of Let It Be, there will be no sorrow. Let it be. Let it be. Do not let fear be your sorrow. Find your Mishkan, my friends, your tabernacle, your place where the Spirit of God resides. God's presence lies at the heart of each person, and we need to take steps to approach this present. It will help you lessen the load that you carry. As the song says, last night the wife said, oh boy, when you're dead, you don't take nothing with you but your soul. Think, my friends. Lighten the load, because boy, you're going to carry that weight a long time. Love you all. Live free, be free, and honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, and be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Have a great Chinese New Year celebration. Get ready for Purim. And remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate together. We celebrate each other. Love each other. And thank you, Noah, for the microphone. I'm really looking forward to seeing it and using it. Anyhow, thank you all. See you all next time. It's always a pleasure to see you. Be well. Bless you. Have a fantastic week. Be well. Love.